Hey, this episode is brought to you by the outstanding team at Compass Strategic Advisors, your trusted partner in driving strategic growth. Whether it's expanding into new territories, launching products, rebranding, or hiring key staff and board members, they offer the expert guidance every step of the way. With a versatile approach and a proven track record, Compass is the go-to resource for both startups and established companies looking to scale with confidence. Thanks, and show your support for this podcast by sharing some sponsor appreciation. Check these guys out at www.compass-strategic-advisors.com. Hey, Casey, welcome to the Liftoff.
How are you?
You're sort of the
Glad to be here.
perfect you're sort of the perfect person to have on the Liftoff because we talk about growth. We talk about scaling. You've got a new book out all about scaling. You've done it for a number of companies before. You're an operator, you're an executive, you're a mentor, and now you're an author.
How are you?
You're sort of the
Glad to be.
You've got all the proper background. You also, as I understand, a West Point cadet and a Harvard graduate as well.
Yeah, I work a lot. I just keep myself
So
busy a lot.
let's start. I know you have this new book called The Scaler, right? So let's talk about just set a baseline here. What is scaling in your definition?
Scaling to me is the art of creating leverage in a business, in the business context. Leverage could be productivity, efficiency, kind of the more classic terms. It can come through systems, people, strategizing. So like not doing something is also leverage. So that in general is scaling. And I think another unique thing about scaling is in my world, scaling is horizontal. It's cross-departmental. It's left-right rather than up-down. Because I think scaling a business has to be all the parts. Now, you can also scale the legal department, right? So that's only the things within the legal department. But in general, I think of scaling as the whole organism, and that organism in the business context is the company.
How do I differentiate between a scaler and a regular operator then?
To me, an operator can be a much wider range of general employee or worker. A scaler specifically, I think, masters and owns across two dimensions or more.
Hmm.
And it's kind of have you seen mixed martial arts,
Sure.
MMA?
Yeah.
It's the person who knows how to strike and wrestle, or, wrestle and do karate, or, something that it is, with a level of mastery for both or more. It's that combined element. And obviously the assumption is that they're good at it. They do provide leverage. Not just, I want to do two things, but they efficiently fuse two or more disciplines and functions to provide leverage for the business.
Like
Whereas an
people that can
operator,
play multiple, so people that can play multiple positions, wear many hats, that kind of metaphor.
yeah, I know this sounds weird, but like I'm a 5-time CFO, but I'm not a CFO. I'm not a
I get
finance
what you mean though. Yeah.
specialist. I'm what I like to believe is a scaler who has a finance discipline. Oh, here's an analogy. Sorry. That's kind of how I think. Special Forces, Navy SEALs. In general, I think Navy SEALs are built for more, they're like kind of like generalists, right? Swim, fight, eat, kill, because they have to attach to very different missions and be very, very adaptable. Okay, but how do you become adaptable? You need to know a little bit about everything. Land warfare, aerial warfare, how planes work, how to shoot a weapon, how to save someone. It's to do that job, you actually need multiple understandings. And so I like to say, so on a Navy SEAL squad, there are, like, I think specialists like sniper, medic, radio comms, right? They're people that they all have gone through SEAL school, but
Yeah.
some of them go through like radio comms, or they're really good at something. But so what I like to say is you don't really ever call a Navy SEAL who's a medic a doctor. You don't call him doc, at least.
Yeah.
He's a Navy
Well,
SEAL first.
Casey, let's
So
bring this
that's
in.
where the specialist versus scaler happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have such amazing experience working with many well-known companies that have been huge successes. Why don't we jump into an example or two of where you've seen a company leverage this scaling concept and really see the fruits of its labor bear out. Can you share an example?
Oh yeah. I mean, the trickiest thing about a scaler is that we are silent. By silent, I mean not silent, but a good example of a scaler is, there is the COO or CFO or biz ops who comes in, notices the scale of the growth of the company, and puts in, I'm going to make it up, a new HR system or a new system to capture product information, customer information that ties into the financial system that combined provide very worthwhile business intelligence for the company. No one ever told them to do that. They came in and they're like, wait a minute, if I don't do this, it's going to be a lot harder to get real-time battlefield intelligence, so to speak, or real-time business intelligence, because by that point, the data is 2x, the customers are 2x, and it takes time to build all these in to integrate, classic implementation integration. So seeing around the corner, seeing ahead, paving the road ahead. If we're doing our job right, there's no bumps in the road. An opposite thing would be like you can see us when scalers may not be fully empowered or working is I'll give you an example, which is look, I wrote about it. WeWork. I was at WeWork. Amazing product, amazing sales teams, right? Amazing finance team. However, the scaling apparatus was not there fully, right? So it went bankrupt in the end because you have to balance the cash burn, the collections, right? Good old real estate.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
when scaling was not there. Because people think of a business going under as like bad product, bad sales. No, it could also be
Yeah.
bad scale. So
It's really interesting you used WeWork as an example because that's massive scaling on one hand, and on the other, oops, you know.
yeah, because you have to scale all the parts. In this case, financials. And that's why I think to appropriately scale or a leader of a scaling organization needs to have more than one discipline. Like they
Hmm.
understand product and finance. Or
Right.
because if you marry the two together, you would say, okay, we're growing too fast.
It occurs to me you need a certain culture too that empowers people in their positions where they have the knowledge. So in other words, you wanted to go implement a new system, and it seems very pertinent and relevant in today's AI world, right? Where holy F, I can see this AI tool, and if I implement it, I'm going to be able to save time, get better data, report these findings a lot faster to a broader team, whatever the case may
Yep.
be. But if you don't have the right culture, you're like, okay, I got to wait to use this until somebody asks me about it, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also look, the benefit of having a really strong some scalers in a business is that if you have a culture that just is cooperative, that could work. Meaning, I don't need everyone to be thinking systems. You need a couple people who make sure the system works, and then tell everyone, hey, we're using a new system, and this is the benefit of it. And they're like, oh, great, because some people are busy selling, some people are busy building product. They're not thinking about scaling, and that's the other way to think about it. Specialists to me, they have a different job. If you're a product person, you're building a product. You're not worried about accounting or the payroll or fundraising, right? If you're selling, you're worried about selling. Your finance, you're worried about making sure the cash is collected and things are paid. But notice they don't have rooms to be thinking about much else. The job of a scaler is to think about the whole, the everything else, the what I call the arteries, the nervous system, the cardiovascular system. That is a job unto itself.
Casey, in addition to this operators guild that you run, you're also in a fund, right? I don't know if it's a active venture capital role for
Yeah.
you or more of an investor, but you obviously you mentor a lot of success or hot potential startups, yeah?
I would say less mentor, but oh, sorry. So you're talking about Fog the Fund, not Operators Guild.
Right.
Um, Operators Guild is the preeminent community for tech operators, specifically non-technical and non-go-to-market. So my joke is we don't code and we don't sell. So our titles are CFO, COO, CEO, and director and above, right? Director of finance, director of ops, biz ops, rev ops, chief of staff. We are the horizontal. We are the multidisciplined. We're the
Okay.
scalers. We're the glue.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So we're like one minus if you think about it. We're one minus sales product, things that are very defined.
Got it.
And that's a very important, like oil in the engine, or glue as you call it, or as I call it, that is needed. Okay. And Fog Ventures it's separate. It's the investing syndicate or arm of the community. It's a separate application. Operators Guild members obviously get in automatically because of their qualification. And it is operators investing together in tools that we love. So the modern operating tool stack. And it's been wildly successful because if you think about it, we build these companies so we can appreciate what good looks like from a diligence standpoint. But more importantly, a lot of us use these products. So we're a decent gauge at if this product has legs or not.
Right, right. And there's probably no lack of new stuff being foisted upon you to see how you evaluate those things.
That's right.
So what kind of things are you looking at today? What kind of applications? What kind
Oh,
of
so we specifically are infrastructure AI B2B
Mhm.
tools for the finance CFO office, which is becoming like performance office or um, business intelligence office, anything that is project management, scaling related. So AI is great for that, right? AI is cross database, cross
Mhm.
department, can handle unstructured, oil and vinegar and combine it.
Right.
Um, and that's once again what scalers do. We have to cross different departments. So AI is really unlocking a lot of our powers to scale better, to remove the walls between functions that cause misalignment, inefficiency,
Yeah.
confusion, loss of time.
I don't know as much
So
about the categories that you're focused on. I'm not so much the operator myself. What are roles going away? Are we seeing a consolidation into the COO, CFO operating function? Are they hiring less people on the ARAP, COO,
yeah,
controller
yeah.
roles? What's happening in that whole world?
Right now, I think it's much higher bar to hire a new person.
Hmm.
A little bit less so just, laying everyone off. It is very much, can we do more with less?
Yeah.
Well, maybe in the past it was we would hire three people. Now it's one
That's a question.
because AI, sorry, because right now what is really happening is increased productivity per person versus replacing a person. So right now, for sure, there's higher productivity. People are saving time doing, not summarizing things or AI drafting things or summarizing notes. But eventually, I think if productivity increases more and more and more and more, yeah, I think all else equal, what was needed for five people, two people can do. So I
Yeah.
think we're still far away from a complete replacement. I still think, far could be 10, 15, 20 years, but it's definitely in the realm of, putting on an Iron Man suit, but you still need the human.
Yeah. Interesting, though. I haven't thought about it in this way. Like, do I really need that head of HR? Does it have to be a senior executive? Do I really need the head of legal, head of finance, you know what I mean? So maybe some of these do get consolidated because
Mhm.
of the systems around you, right? Is that what you're intimating?
That's right.
And then let me ask you a question, which is sort of related to that, which is I'm building a team. I got a hot startup
Mhm.
idea, Casey. I got to get
Mhm.
this thing out in the marketplace. I'm a technologist. I'm a CTO type, right? We'll call me a co-founder also. Who's the next person that I typically need to hire? And I'll tell you, my bias is towards that person that has the Rolodex, the network, the sales know-how to go bring in the revenue. I'm ready to take this thing out to the market. So I want to go hire that salesperson. Is that the right way to think about it, or do I need the person who is going to just make sure the trains run on time and we're properly managing our cash flow? And what's the next hire after that CTO?
It depends on the business. For example, Uber needs legal help earlier because they
Mm,
would have to file lawsuits. Um, Low margin businesses like DoorDash or Amazon.com need more analytics and data engineers
mm,
because it's way more important to get this mass data and optimization problem. So the first thing is just like, what is the type of business and what is the main competency need? Then from there, there's scalers, right? It's scalers to mirror ratio. The beautiful thing with scalers, by definition, we're leverage. So you don't need to hire, a ton of us in terms of the ratio. Every ratio is different, but a strategic CFO can be a finance scaler, right? They're highly analytical. They bring in the finance T-shaped skill set and can really help scale things that touches money. There is external scalers, so they're good at commercialization, generally kind of COO-ish. So they're pretty good about external. So that's go to market, scaling out the combined sales marketing team and product teams, really thinking about growing customers and outward growth. Then there's internal ecosystem scalers that are very good. They generally sit in the finance, legal, people division. So for them, they are always thinking about how to make the lives of the employees easier and more effective. And so as that grows, you want to increase the amount of scalers that are ecosystem scalers. Hey, our systems are kind of going to get challenged, or we're hiring too many people. You need scalers to take care of, air quote, the home. And yeah, so it's really kind of a ratio. I don't think there's like a
Well,
rule.
let me pinpoint an industry because I saw in your background you've worked at some very large companies and some of the hotter companies of today. I think Anthropic maybe. Have you done some
Oh yeah,
work with
yeah, of
them?
course. I mean, there's a whole. I haven't done work with them, no, but obviously they're
There's
making
just
big waves.
OpenAI. I mean, there's some big, huge companies out there, but it looks like they're hiring a lot of people to me. Um, and I wonder, like, what's the right model to sort of follow if you have one of those types of just companies that are completely blitz scaling the market, to use your phrase, sort of. Um, the idea that AI is going to be doing a lot of this, but here is an AI company, and it looks like they have 50 job openings whenever you take a look at them, right? Anthropic or OpenAI or those types of folks.
I mean, I don't know the intimate details of those companies, but I can guess from the speed and aggressiveness of their growth
Yeah.
and their market potential that it's a ratio thing, right? So if you're, selling to a much bigger market and the prize is so valuable, it makes sense to hire ahead. One, you're just fighting a bigger war. So you
Hmm.
just need more of everything. It's just a size thing, right? When you're talking about billions and billions of revenue and thousands of customers, that right there tells you. Also, the ferocity of product development means you probably need more resources to keep ahead of the product curve. Um, and as an organism or system gets bigger, you need more coordination, generally speaking.
Yeah.
If there's, I don't know, 100 people at IBM that just do payroll, right? Just do payroll, right? So it's a ratio thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
I
they're
just
growing like
it's
crazy,
curious.
and that makes
Yeah,
a lot of
I've
sense.
started a few. I've
Yeah.
started it and advised a bunch of different companies, and you definitely have a different view on things, and it's an educated one. I just want to be able to tap into that. As you share your insights with other early stage companies, what other things do you tend to sort of lean in on, and some things that you recommend startup founders consider and evaluate?
What resources?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I this sounds biased, but it's not. It's when people ask me they're getting into startups or a new job, it's like, oh, do you have a mentor, book, or blog you could recommend me or a podcast? I'm like, no, there's no any mentor or that's going to cover whatever is the unknown. But what I have found to be incredibly effective is a network or a community.
Mm,
Because if you think about a network community, it's a living, breathing thing of people, and now AI, that sits on top of the changing world. So as the world changes, your community updates and refreshes. For example, when ChatGPT came, the community came together at OG, Operators Guild, and was like, what is this ChatGPT thing? And so we
mhm.
started evolving into it as a group. We have
Right.
people using it for this, and he's okay, but there's no static anything. There's no mentor that would know that. It's you got to be real time and flexible. So
And
AI to me in terms of OG is authentic intelligence, right? It's
right.
human intelligence. Yeah.
No,
But it's network.
I'm gonna double click
Join a community that's relevant to you. Yeah.
on the community aspect. And then how, when the community throws out, hey, what do you guys use for payroll? Hey, what do you guys use for HR? Hey, what do you guys use for XYZ other tools that sit in your
Yeah. Yeah.
areas of expertise. How do you sort of evaluate those things? How do you share that?
Oh, so we have an online forum and an archive of 10 years of past posts where people ask questions about problems they're solving. Hey, I have this situation, or one's like, we just moved to, we're expanding to Canada. Has anyone hired and set up payroll or for Canadian engineers?
Wow, that's
Okay,
great.
well,
There you
there
go.
you go. And so you type in Canada payroll, or you type in Canada, you'll get those. And of course, it's real time, OG members helping each other. Yeah.
That's great. OG definitely sounds like a cool group. What is the other thing that you look at, Casey, that you sort of cringe when you see founders and small startup teams doing that you just go, they fell into the trap.
Mm, I think probably,
Sometimes hiring a certain position too soon, too
yeah,
late, or
yeah.
maybe starting to do certain
I,
spends. Yeah.
I do think spending spending a little too early before things are more certain, or I should say, thinking you need to hire 5 people when you just need 3. That's really hard because when things are going and you get a big VC investment and people are excited, everyone's full charge. So what is over hiring? And now, look, there's rare exceptions like an Anthropic or OpenAI where they might be under hiring, right? But for the most part, unless you're that, there's a chance you're over hiring. And you'd be
Well, it
surprised
is.
you'd be surprised what you can do with half the amount of people, and still keep a great culture.
It is kind of funny how, these everyone's talking about the two-person or one-person a billion-dollar company and such, but the reality is all these
Yeah.
companies that are hot into AI right now are spending like crazy as well as hiring like crazy. Hey, Casey, this is awesome. I don't want to forget to ask you the obvious question, which is how does somebody get involved in Operators Guild and become an OG in your
Yeah.
area?
Yeah. So we have an application process, and you just simply go to the website, operators-guild.com. Uh, if you take a look at the website, what we offer, there's actually a lot more that we offer that the website doesn't even do a great
Okay.
job going into. But apply if you are qualified. We have a pretty strict bar, and it's about 1 in 10, maybe 2 in 10 will get accepted just based on the historical average. Then you share a lot more about we share a lot more about the community, what we do, what we don't do, who we stand for, and then take away from there. And there's also a lot of Operators Guild members you can probably reach out to. They some of them have it on their LinkedIn. You can absolutely just talk to them about it as well. But it's go to the
Great.
website. Yeah.
But is the key criteria experience or the types of companies you work with? What are you looking for?
Yeah, that's right. It's high growth, mostly tech, generally VC backed because of the high growth.
Yeah.
Early stage startups, so I would say, Series D or earlier. When you get much later, it becomes more of a specialized type of situation or group. It's just different.
Yeah.
But when you're earlier, it's much more of a generalist, scaling, horizontal type role.
Right. Okay, so final question, Casey. You're
Mhm.
you're sitting in the catbird seat because you've seen so many really interesting deals and helped shape a lot of these companies. But looking at 26, 27, these are going to be some fast, crazy growth years. What are we going to see in terms of where things end up for some of the large AI startup companies in terms of their efforts to get a foot planted in the market? Are we going to see many succeed? Are we going to see one succeed? Is this the battle of superheroes and only one survive? How do you sort of foresee this the market taking shape?
I think AI is a completely new ecosystem, just like software, SaaS became a whole new ecosystem, or just like the Industrial Revolution was a whole new ecosystem where you had auto insurance companies and tire makers, and it's a whole ecosystem is now being built. For example, there's companies that are brokering GPU chips. There's a whole market being developed for leasing GPU chips,
Right.
because that's the new oil, so to speak. So I think one is a lot of new categories of, air quote, vibe coding, Replit, Lovable. That's a whole new thing. So there's a lot of new categories for new ways of doing things. And then within that, I think there's going to be a lot of false starts. There's going to be a lot of, that's the beauty of innovation, right? You try and one hits amazingly and others don't. I think the big players, there's going to be some mega players. No different than the last cycle. There's Google and Meta and the Magnificent Seven. Some of them are going to get even bigger.
Right.
But this is a very high cost game. So scale matters, size matters, and the big get richer. So I think the size disparity is going to continue to happen. And a whole new crop of small to medium size companies are going to be built off of this new ecosystem scaffolding. Harvey AI, I think, is doing very well for legal. So niche applications via AI that build off the ecosystem that service a very distinct market and have a brand. So I think a lot of companies that are going to do decently have a very distinct brand, reputation, loyalty with the customers. And yes, I think there's going to be a lot of go under. As people have honestly, there's like a little bit of a gold rush going on. Some get really, really rich, and others walk home with not a lot of gold. And that's the beauty of this new phase.
There's always a bit of Darwinism in all of this, right? Hey, Casey, it's really been fun chatting with you. Learned a lot, and lots of great drops of knowledge, because we don't tend to focus so much on the operator function, but clearly it's hugely valuable, critically important. So when does the book come out?
Oh God, hopefully a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay, you got some time. You'll add a few more chapters. I look forward to following you, though, at the Operators Guild. Sounds like a fantastic opportunity, and really, thanks again for sharing some thoughts with us.
Absolutely. Talk to you later.
Take care.